Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us on time for this week's International CARP meeting on Tuesdays. And yeah, I'm delighted to see you all. I see some new faces, so that's great. And before we go into our discussion, looking at what healthy relationships look like, which I'm sure you're all very excited to hear, we will have some icebreakers, which will be led by Yavi. So I'd like to welcome up Yavi to lead us in those icebreakers.
Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the CARP International, or should I say International CARP. I hope you're all doing well, and we've prepared some really cool, interesting stuff for you guys. So I hope you're well prepared, and the one who wins this trivia will be crowned the king of the day. So let's see who's gonna be the king of the day. So we'll be sharing some question, and then there is 4 options, so feel free to choose which one seems most relatable or makes sense, and then we'll be moving on, and at the end we will see in the poll who got the most questions right. All right, is everyone feeling ready? Did you sharpen your brains a little bit? The mindset is there. Okay, so we will be sharing screen in a moment. And by the way, my name is Questions, and this is my wife. She's the comments. All right, so first question. Can everyone see? That's good. In which country people say sorry so much that a law was passed in 2009 declaring that an apology can't be used as evidence of admission to guilt? Number 1, Luxembourg. Number 2, Sweden. Number 3, Canada. Or number 4, Cyprus. Feel free to answer quickly. I'll be counting to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I hope everyone answered. You got it? So, question number 2. Wait. For those who answered Canada, you were correct. They are very apologetic. So it seems like 29% got it right. Next question. Back when dinosaurs existed, where were volcanoes still erupting? Number 1, the moon. Number 2, Jupiter. Number 2, Saturn. Number 3, of course. And number 4, again, Cyprus. Could that be Cyprus? Feel free to answer. We got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, so many people fell for Cyprus. I'm really sorry. But the answer is actually the moon. So that's an interesting fact.
Only 1%.
One person got it right. All right, next question. Which is the only letter that does not appear on the periodic table? Number 1, Q. Number 2, Y. Number 3, J. Or number 4, V. What could it be? 5 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, seems like people are answering, but the majority fell on J. Let's see, what is J? J is actually correct, so congratulations to all those who got it right. Very nice. Next question is, how do you call a single strand of spaghetti? Number 1, spaghetti. Number 2, spaghetti. Number 3, spaghettito. Or number 4, spaghetto. I think that whichever one sounds best is the correct answer. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, quickly, 1, finish. So, what was the correct answer? Spaghetto, of course, it sounds great. It's very ghetto. I like it. Number 4. Which flower can help clean radioactive soil? Number 1, roses. Smells great, by the way. Number 2, sunflowers. Number 3, daisies. Or number 4, chamomile, also great as tea. Just letting you know. So, answer in 3, 2, 1. What's the poll saying? Whoa, so many people are going for chamomile. What is it gonna be? Okay, 3, 2, 1, and the answer is, of course, sunflowers. That's why in Japan they have sunflowers. Really great fun. Okay, let's continue. So, for what can you go to jail in Arizona? Number 1, cutting a cactus. Number 2, killing a cow. Number 3, going to work before 4 a.m. Very bad. Or number 4, okay, number 4, bringing tea from Brazil. Seems like people are already answering. So 3, 2, 1. Most of you guys were correct. 70% answered cutting a cactus. So don't do that in Arizona. If you cut down a cactus in Arizona, you will be penalized up to 25 years in jail. Wow, that's crazy. Similar to cutting down a protected tree species. Nice. Are you ready for the next question? Good. Which country built the largest grand piano in the world? Wow. Number 1, Japan. Number 2, New Zealand. Number 3, China. Or number 4, the Fiji Island. Put down your answers. So I'll be counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! So it seems like most people answered Japan, but unfortunately it's New Zealand. So congratulations to 10% of those. Yeah, really nice. Let's see what's the next question. In Svalbard, a remote Norwegian island, it is illegal to, number 1, eat a fish. Number 2, own a car, of course. Number 3, to die. And number 4, to cut your hair. What do you guys think? I see you're already voting, so I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. So the correct answer was to die. It's illegal to die. Why? Because the bodies are unable to be buried safely due to the frost on the ground. I see. If you're about to die, they fly you back to mainland Norway to pass on there. So make sure you make an appointment before you die. Like that. Next question. In 1325, 2 Italian city-states fought. I think this question is too complicated. So let's have another question. What can help your memory? Very important, especially for today's talk. So let's see. Flossing your teeth is number 1. 2, wearing contact lenses, very important. 3, burping after a meal, always a good sign that you digested well. Or number 4, drinking water with brown sugar. Wow, so many people are already answering. So I'll give you 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Seems like a lot of people are attracted to sugar, but the real answer is, of course, number 1, flossing your teeth, avoiding those bad bacteria building up and clogging your little veins. So research has found that flossing your teeth can help your memory. Flossing prevents gum disease, which prevents teeth blood vessels, which cause memory issues. So now you know. Before the meeting begins, floss your teeth quickly. And I was Yaviel, and this was Vicky. I think we have one more question before we end, very important for our group. So when was CARP founded? Important question. Number 1, 1976. Number 2, 1966. Number 3, 1986. Or number 4, 1996, of course. Maybe not. So, which one is it? 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like everyone said 1976. But thanks to our 4 brave people who got the answer right, it's actually 1966. Very nice date. I mean, this is a devil, but turning it providentially is great. So thank you everyone for the nice ice break, and I hope we'll have a great discussion as well. So take it back, Irene.
Yeah, thank you for that, Yaviel. It was good fun. something else important happened in 1966. England won the World Cup in that year, so it's a very important year for me. And with that, I'd like to give our speakers an opportunity to introduce themselves. I realized that I didn't introduce myself. So hello, everyone. My name is Aryan. I'm from the UK. I'm 20 years old and I'm a student. And I would like to now invite the speakers who are about to be spotlit to introduce themselves. So could I ask Stephen Stacey to start us off?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi, I'm Stephen. Yeah, what to say? I'm British originally. I've lived in Poland and Finland and America and all kinds of places. So I'm learning. I come back recently to England, and I'm enjoying learning about my own country. I have a lovely wife for 40 years. I'm deeply in love with her, and what to say, we have fun, we have arguments sometimes, but we still love each other. And we're 4 lovely children. I taught at university for several years, and now I'm writing books and articles and running seminars. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And could I ask Anto and Jonghae to give us a brief introduction of themselves?
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're doing our best. Our little daughter is just crying next door, but babysitter's doing her best. Yeah, so my name is Anto. I'm from Finland, and this is my wife Jonghae from South Korea. We're living together obviously in Vienna. Where else? I myself, I'm working in management consulting in the energy sector. And yeah, Jonghae, can you say something?
I'm serving as a youth NGO for peace. So yeah, also full-time mother.
Yeah, and we both have some experience with youth work and so on in our lives. So glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And last but not least, Nicole and Michael, could you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, good evening.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael, and this is Nicola Hogue. I'm originally from the United States, and Nicole's from Munich. So we live currently nowhere. We're currently in between cities, in between work. I used to work for the US government, and now we're here in Munich with Nicole's parents. We are son, brother, sister, daughter, wife, husband, father, and mother. We have a almost 2-year-old son, Elijah. So we also have some experience with relationships, and we do a lot of youth work as well, and a lot of work with our church. So I think somewhat qualified to speak about relationships.
Perfect. Yeah, so thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. And I'd just like to tell the participants that if you have any questions based on this discussion, please send that over to questions and his wife comments, and we'll see if we can get those answered for you. But of course, you have all joined today to hear about relationships, to find out what healthy relationships look like. So without any further ado, I'm going to get into our first question. So first of all, what is a healthy relationship, and what factors contribute to having a healthy relationship? So who would like to tackle that one first? Oh, don't all shout at once. Stephen, do you have something you'd like to say about that? What does a healthy relationship look like, and what contributes to making
You're
that?
talking about romantic, I guess. Are you talking about romantic?
It could be romantic, but it could also be
Okay.
relationships between friends and family members.
Of course, you know, you're looking for a sustainable relationship for what, 70, 80 years, maybe a long time. So you've got to, of course, it's got to be respectful, and of course, and one has to invest. Yeah, it's not, one has to give 100% of yourself. If you know, if you believe that, the belief is, for me, it's I'm meant to be a temple of God. Yeah, I'm meant to bring God into my family, my home. But doing that, it's not just a political belief. It's not something I just have, believe, oh, that law should be changed. It's how does God come into every day of my life, and for every action, you might say, or even every thought. Yeah. And so it's, technically it's a little bit like hard work, but that's the level of intensity you want to bring to the relationship. And you want God to dwell, which is like peace and harmony and joy and all those lovely good things you want, but you've got to work at it. It's not given to you. Just because you're young, you might get some love drugs, might go, oh, she's lovely, she smiles nice, and you get those drugs going in your brain, vasopressin or testosterone or oxytocin, and young love is full of crazy drugs, yeah. But those drugs go away, and you've got to learn to keep those drugs going. You've got to personally invest, so the drugs are always whirring away. And what is it that makes those drugs and that emotions high? So you see, like, one of the things is to see beauty in your partner every day, the beautiful person they are, the wonderful thing they are, and you've got to practice that. You've got to come up with 40 different ways of seeing the beauty in your partner. So when she gives you a hard time, you can go to bed, and the next morning you can wake up and you can think of 20 nice things about her, and you can go and hug her in the kitchen and say, good morning, beautiful wife, and it's lovely to see you again. And you've got to see the beauty in each other every morning and make that feel like the first day you're in love with that person. Yeah. And what is, when two people's eyes meet across the room and their hearts go, whatever, they have that feeling of, I see the beauty there. I see beauty. And without seeing beauty in each other regularly, your relationship can't work. So that is, one of the, for me, that is one of the key things that keeps my relationship strong. I have to manage how much beauty I see in my wife, and she has to see it in me sometimes. It's hard for her. I know it's hard. But I try always to see her charming, lovely nature. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that really honest answer. And I'm sure everyone on the panel will agree that all relationships take hard work and investment. So would anyone like to add on that topic?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in. What is a healthy relationship? So I think if someone's idealistic or maybe naive about what real relationships are, they might think that a relationship or a healthy relationship is one in which everything's peaceful and happy all the time. But as Uncle Stephen just alluded to, that's not reality. And you need to be able to get past those times when it's not fun and not peaceful. I think to put it in my view of what a healthy relationship is a relationship in which all parties or both parties between parent and child or siblings or husband and wife are where everybody's growing, where there's growth. There's an opportunity for each of us to become a better person each day. But a relationship is no longer healthy when we're becoming worse people by being with each other or by being around each other. And kind of in line with that, what's the cofactor that contributes to a healthy relationship? I think having common goals is really important. So you can be as different as you want from your spouse or your parent or your child or your sibling or a friend. But if you are working towards something, towards the same thing, towards a common goal, then I think you can get past any difference. Nicole and I are pretty different, but we have a lot of goals in common, which I think helps.
I mean, also one more thing, maybe adding to that is, especially when there's some conflict, right? And a healthy relationship can also be, let's say, continued. If we have like the attitude to make a change when it is necessary for the other person. So what we are trying to do often is also to, read a book about different, for different relationships. For example, by Greg Bear, probably some people already heard about him, you know, Real Love. Or for me, what was also a really helpful book was The Surrendered Wife by Laura Doyle. Like really always just searching for betterment in myself as well, you know, being self-reflective. Yeah. I think that's the cofactor as well, to have this kind of attitude to always better yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I really like that point about having a common goal that brings you together, gives you a shared purpose. And obviously, if you're working together towards something that will improve the relationship you have, whether that's with your spouse or with your children, your parents, whoever the relationship is with. So I think that's a really good piece of advice. If you want to improve your relationship, make sure you have the same goals as the people you're trying to improve your relationships with. So yeah, thanks for that. Anto and John K, would you like to tackle this question?
Yeah, I think really answered really well with the two couples. For me, actually, if you think about what you want, just focusing about that, then it's really hard to make good relationship, right? So for me, it was really important what actually the others want first. So that was really helping our relationship. And the second one was, it was not easy to share everything honestly, but then really tried hard to sharing about this. So sharing what you're feeling honestly to your relationship, the people, object partner, then I think it's really helpful for the making happy relationship.
And I just follow up with what Miki was saying. Fully agree that you know, a healthy relationship is something where you grow. I think often, you know, we tend to think that a good relationship is one where we can be ourselves, but I think that's, you know, sometimes not, you know, exactly it, because sometimes we're, you know, I think we're all on the path to, let's say, discovering our true selves, becoming our true selves, and I think, you know, in a friendship, someone who will just let you do whatever you're doing, it's not necessarily kind of the best friend you really want to have around. You want to have around friends who actually sometimes confront you and tell you like, hey, you know, you should be, you know, see it the thing from this point of view, and kind of, you know, really being a true friend is not just kind of saying whatever makes you happy, kind of what you like, but sometimes, you know, giving tough love, so to speak. So I think that's a core part of a healthy relationship. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, thank you. I think all of you started to answer my next question, so that's good. That shows that we're
one thing.
on the right
My
track.
wife just joined us.
Oh, perfect. Hello, thank you for joining us. Yeah, maybe you would like to answer the next question. So the next question is, what do you do to maintain a healthy relationship? And I think you guys already touched on the idea of being honest with each other and the importance of that, and also being able to adapt and be flexible to meet the needs of your partner or your friends and to work together in that way. But what else is important to maintain a healthy relationship?
If I can say, for me, it is becoming emotionally aware and healthy, and it's been a journey, of course. Even being supposed to take care of others, like children, in this area professionally, I just step by step managed to see how important it is to become basically a mature individual in a relationship, and that means to be responsible for my emotional well-being, or how I take responsibility for myself. So that's in other words, to do my portion of responsibility in the relationship, to take care of myself and give love to myself when it's needed.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that we have a relationship with ourselves, right? With ourselves. Our relationships aren't just with other people. We have a relationship between our minds and our bodies and internal struggles that we face. So I really like that point about dealing with your own self first, and then that will help you to develop better relationships with others.
Yeah, I also want to just touch on that. I already mentioned it before, being self-reflective, and that's actually a really big part from my side. Whenever we have an argument or maybe a discussion or something, then, I usually tend to, reflect about this fight or this discussion or what brought it up, and, trying not to just leave it behind, but actually think about it and then think, okay, what can I do better? Or what did I do wrong? Or what didn't I see? Maybe I was too arrogant, or maybe I was egoistic or selfish, or I don't know, like something like that. Just trying to find, not just pointing at him and saying, oh my gosh, you did this and this and this, but actually also trying to look at myself honestly, sincerely, and really reflecting on what did I do wrong? And then, of course, forgiving each other. That's one big thing, I think, for both of us. And then this part of, trying really to see the good in him. Because of course we're not perfect beings, but actually I also really believe in God, and I really try to be grateful every day to God that he brought us together. And and that really helps me to maintain this, this belief about him. He is really sent to me, and we're meant to be together and stuff. So that helps me to maintain that kind of.
And just adding on to that, not exactly related, but my opinions on the question. Fortunately for us, since we're married, we get to spend a lot of time together. And we also get to spend a lot of time together with our son. But in other relationships with siblings or friends, when you don't get to spend a lot of time with someone, it's easy, or it's difficult to maintain a healthy relationship if there's no connection with that person. So you need to have some sort of connection with someone in order to have a healthy relationship. So in my own life, there are a couple people who I want to have a closer relationship with, but I don't maybe put in enough effort into contacting them regularly, or, writing them or giving them a call or praying about them or doing something in my day to connect me to that person. And naturally, if that's the case and you don't see someone, you don't call them, you don't write to them, then it's hard to have a healthy relationship. So communicating with someone and being in touch with someone doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a good relationship, a healthy one, but without it, it's pretty difficult to have a healthy relationship.
I think I need to start speaking before Mikey, because every time, it sounds like I'm just repeating what he's saying, because I'm thinking the same stuff. But exactly, basically, like, you can't take something if you don't, out of a relationship if you don't put something in. So it's regardless of what relationship, whether to marriage or towards relationship to your child or your parent, a friend, I think it's just crucial that you put effort in, and especially maybe these kind of family relationships, which we after a while we get used to, we take them for granted. Maintaining that kind of special relationship, taking time aside for that relationship and putting efforts in. I think that's a key part, and I guess sometimes also keeping an eye on just kind of how much am I giving in, maybe sometimes how much am I taking out of the relationship. So I think a healthy relationship is also balanced in the sense that you're both in there kind of for each other. So,
I think it's really useful to have a picture of what you're trying to achieve. I think it's in the CARP, I joined CARP many years ago, and how to understand, I'm trying to be a temple of God. I'm trying to bring God into my life, and what does that mean on a daily basis? So if you have, I've just pasted in the in the list here of the chat, I perceived, again, I said, okay, well, there's different kinds of God's love. So if I'm a temple of God, then I'm meant to be able to, do these things to some level. So, and there's two parts of there's something I call the adapted child, and that's kind of like the team player part. So I have to, God is trying to work with humanity, trying to help humanity grow and develop. So I'm meant to work with Barbara to make a home and to make it work. So there's certain things I need to develop in my team player skills that will help our marriage. Yeah, and that will be kind of like bring God into our home. Or there's something called a free child, which is like my ability to be playful or humorous or romantic or affectionate, or free to be honest and free to express say sorry. This kind of free to personal thing about how free am I to be myself and to be creative. Because if and I'm always thinking how to bring that into my family. Like I make a different kind of meal almost every day for my wife. I'm always inventing new new meals, or we're very important to think about how affection is expressed. We have a lovely way to say hello, or these kind of things. Yeah. How to be a sensible adult. My wife and I tease each other constantly about this, because she wants me to be the sensible adult often, and and I keep responding to her, you're a mature grown woman, and we tease each other about it. So how do I become that? How do I pay the bills? How do I manage the money? How do I do these things responsibly? And then, but also, how can I nurture? God wants to raise me up. God is like, trying to raise a child up. So how do I raise Barbara up? Because, I see potential in her, which she doesn't see. So I try to see that potential and say, how do I get her from there to there? How long does it take? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? I still have some goals which I've had for 30 years, and she's getting there, which is wonderful. But that's part of growing up, and also there's a protective parent. God is, protective, and how does he protect us with his word, and don't do this, and things like that. So how do we protect our relationship by not doing things that hurt it? How do we solve our conflicts? How do we, things like that. So I see God's love as 5 different textures, and it's my job to become good at all of them. Because if I'm missing, nurturing, or if I'm missing protectiveness, and I'm not very good at protectiveness, but I become better. But my wife would like me still to become better, and I've always wanted her to be more playful, and she's getting there. She's really, and she's always become more playful, but she would like to be more of me, to be more of a team player. So she had to drag me there, So we all want to see God in our partner, and what we mean, we would like some team player, or some playfulness, or some, adult, or nurturing, And so that's my goal. If I'm aiming, if I do this better, she'll get better. If I learn to nurture her better, then she'll more likely improve. Or if I'm more playful or more romantic, she will maybe respond more appropriately. So if I do it better, then she might respond, and that's the hope. Yeah, and that's what brings it out. It's like, if you're a better boss, your employees respond. Yeah. Or you're a better parent, your children respond appropriately. So it's always about, how do I improve? How do I bring God into me so that she can be free to grow, and not focus, her attention, well, if he was better, then I would be better. It doesn't work like that. You can't have that sentence. It's always, what can I do better? So I think it's good. These kind of it offers a language for me and my wife to talk, where's your protective parent, she might say, or where's your,
adult.
We're meant to be being playful right now.
Where is your adult?
And she, I try and be playful, and she'll say, well, we have to clean the house, and I go, where's it gone, So it offers a language which we can solve our problems and understand what we want from each other. And I can understand what I need to bring. So that, I think that's really important to have a picture of what you're trying to achieve personally. And I find this very helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's really important to focus on the potential of our friends and our family, right? Because if we just focus on the flaws, it's very easy to get fixated on those flaws, and that creates difficulties. But if we can focus on the potential of our family and friends, then we can encourage them to become better people and to improve in these different areas instead of just being overly critical. And that might not be what they want to hear, right? They might not want to
Honestly,
hear.
when I was married, I was a young husband. I was a 1-year-old husband. You know, that's who I was. I didn't have a terribly good example to follow. And now I'm a 40-year husband, so hopefully I'm better at it. But if you can't expect a 10-year-old husband to still be, a full husband, because he's only 10 years old. And you have to expect him to be 20 or 30 before you really, and so you're always trying to say, how do I bring this out of him so that he's a 30-year-old husband, he's really good. But if you think after 2 years, he should be a 30-year husband, but he's only 2-year husband, you're delusional. And you just got to have hope and see it, and how do you raise it up? So, and when you get past 30 years, you go, oh, well, I'm stuck with him.
So Mickey, do you think we can use this as an excuse,
Yeah, I was just
a few more years.
I was just writing in the chat. Good to know. I can always just say I'm only a 4-year husband. So
yes.
Baby.
I'm a baby husband.
Yeah, actually, that leads me on nicely onto the next question. So we were just discussing how to maintain healthy relationships, but what would you do if you feel that the relationship has become unhealthy, and how would you go about resolving that relationship? So I know we already discussed looking at your own responsibility and seeing how you contributed to that relationship maybe being not as healthy as you would like it to be. But how else would you go about resolving this conflict, whether that's with your parents or with your friends or your partner? What's important in conflict resolution?
Can I just say, because this has been mentioned about 2-year-old or, this baby in the relationship. And often this exactly is the source of a problem or conflict, that we have expectations of each other or needs, unfulfilled needs. And those needs are often from our childhood. So what I want to say in this regard is that yes, it's very good to say, actually, it's not an excuse to say I'm a 2-year-old wife, because I have those unfulfilled needs from childhood. And if I don't see myself as a child, when, if I see my problem, but I'm struggling, then I can say to myself, oh, this little child in me, this little girl in me hasn't received enough attention or affection or nurturing, like you said, and then I can have compassion for myself instead of blaming this on the partner. So to know that we have those kind of needs of children in ourselves is actually good, and it's called in the healing circles, it's called inner child work. You have to work with your inner child. So to fulfill sometimes the needs that you bring into the relationships, I can ask, which is often very difficult, to ask my husband for help, to say please.
I can actually oh, sorry, wave done.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to say that it's okay to feel a 2-year-old husband or wife.
Yeah, I actually can combine this with the question we just had, because that's exactly, I agree, telling to yourself, I'm a really young wife or a really young husband, but I think it's also important to let the other person know about it in order to resolve conflict, for example, or if there was an argument or something. So recently we went through actually exactly that thing, you know.
Recently, yesterday.
When I told him, I just feel lack of love. And I think it's really important to be honest in order to resolve conflict, in order to, to be really sincere. It's not about, I don't want to manipulate him. I don't want to, make a story, but I, by telling him, I'm a 4-year-old, wife, let's say, and I have these needs. Please help me, that I can, emotionally feel whole again. I mean, it sounds maybe selfish for some people, but I think in a relationship, it's always this give and take, and this is really important. That's why this communication and and really honest and sincere openness is really important.
Can I just
So,
respond to that?
in both ways, I think it's good.
Can I just respond to this? Because when Stephen mentioned those 4 different types of ego states, five, okay. There's this free child, which you can talk about creativity and beauty and, spontaneous. So I can spontaneously ask him for help if I can operate from access my free child. But this 4-year-old wife or 40-year-old wife, in my case, also has a hurt child. So is it Burns? Yeah, Burns call it a hurt child, which is a child that doesn't want to, was so hurt that for things maybe I don't deserve, maybe I won't get it. So in our communication, as you say, it's very important to communicate, to have exchange, like give and take. However, there are blocks, and the blocks is a very tricky thing to resolve, but it is the key to resolving the conflicts, communication and identifying those blocks.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Anto go before I say anything.
Someone wanted to go before me, apparently. So.
Yeah, I think it's really nice because also we just after the marriage we are now 4 years has been, and yeah, even really short time we could really feel that something is not going. Then it's actually the heart is very much like stuck somewhere. Is really cannot open so much, and to resolve this kind of conflict, actually, yeah, we did a marriage course recently, and that was really helpful for us because one session was kind of because I am the type of person that I cannot resolve right after, just like something happened. It's something I need to digest, and then Anto is more like I can solve now, like let's talk right now, So somehow we needed to really resolve about this like together, but then in the end marriage course they suggested that maybe we can set the time when is the best time for us to, and then we sit down together and then share really honestly what we are feeling about the topic. And then the other person is not interrupting, but really listening completely well. And then even repeating, so really listen well. And then after that, actually, after share all things, you already feel better. And also, sometimes I feel like I want to run away from this conflict or some problem. But then I feel like I changed a lot because now I don't run away, but really try to solve this problem together. So somehow that is kind of my overcoming about resolve the conflict. So that was very practical for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's if we talk about the relationship in your partnership, of course this is one thing, and there I think we need this kind of like what Chong mentioned. Is kind of honesty and recognizing that we deal with conflict differently, and the fact that my partner behaves differently it does not necessarily mean that she's trying to offend me or trying to be me, but it's just her coping. And I think actually for us quite shortly, just a few days after our wedding, actually, I think we had this first bigger fight, and I think we but I think it's a bit of a naive dream to believe that this romantic relationship is always rosy and so on. It's just not true. And I think a good relationship, as we mentioned, is a growing relationship. So you bound to have conflicts and these situations where you kind of clash a bit, and also in your closest relationships you feel hurt the easiest is also an interesting aspect. But having that kind of honesty, I think that also Nicole was talking about, talking things out, and what's important, not to just swallow things or let them how do you say, just pile up, because then they're kind of explode at some point. So yeah, finding your own way how to resolve, deal with conflict and express yourself. And I guess this also goes for other relationships to some extent. I think you need to be able to be honest and upfront with your friends, with your parents, with your siblings about stuff like, hey, this is, I'm feeling, difficult, like what's going on in this relationship, in our relationship. I think that's an important part, having it honestly about the relationship itself. And also sometimes finding the right moments to express things, not necessarily in the heat of a moment, but when the moment's over. And about the communication, the marriage course can also be applied elsewhere, using I messages. So never start with like, you did that, you so, but I feel this way when you do this, because then it's, you can leave, space for, explanation and understanding. And now, Mikey.
I know.
Oh no, you know.
Yeah. I know we're running short on time, so I'll just say it requires humility in any relationship in order to resolve conflict. It's easier if one or both parties are humble.
I mean, there's also another, sorry if we stay too long on this one question, but I think it's really important, because sometimes also there are relationships where you can't actually communicate with this person and you have to deal with this by yourself. Let's say it's a friend or maybe a co-worker, and you really don't like this person, or this person did something really nasty to you, but you have to kind of work still with this person. I think in this case, for example, what I tried to do was to really, I think I forgot how this is called, but it's basically I constantly said, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, I love you. And
affirmations, like saying it to yourself.
Yes, it's like a mantra. I just say it to myself, and I think of this person, and by this I try to resolve this resentment and really just trying to see the good in this person. Or if I can't, then sometimes I pray, and then I really feel I can have a sense of what is precious about this person, and I somehow can overcome and have more understanding why this person is maybe messed up like that or treated me really badly or whatever. So that's one more point, like different viewpoint. Yeah, but also works in husband-wife relationship.
Serving someone else can help you get over your feelings of resentment to that person.
Yeah,
I think the principle which Karp studies, it says we all have fallen natures. Yeah, what does that mean? We all enter into a relationship with broken parts of ourselves or traumas from history. We all have these traumas, whether we like it or not. I lost two grandfathers in the war, and I lost so much about manhood in my own family. And my wife grew up under communism and poverty, and all this stuff is there, present in her fears and worries and everything else. Yeah. So I've always taken the view that if this, how one say, this frustration or pain or anger comes out, it's not. She wasn't born with that. It's not her. I externalize it. I say, well, that's grandmother, or that's communism, or that's, you know, poverty, or that's something else.
It's part of me.
It's just part of her, but it's not, wasn't part of her original beautiful Barbara. And so I externalize it. And so I think it's really, really important to understand the history of your partner, your family history, to learn about them, to really study that and to listen to that about grandma, grandparent, etc. Go to their country and build up a picture. So whenever this stuff comes out, this kind of I want to say unheavenly way of solving conflicts comes out, for example, or behavior comes out, I can go, oh, Granny, oh, that was the Second World War, or oh, that was that, you know, and I don't blame my wife. It's not her. And I think it really allows me to just, you know, let go of it very quickly, and whatever comes out, and I can walk out the door and pretend I'm upset. But in my heart, I'm saying I'm just teasing her, and I go, I've forgiven her already, because it's not her. She doesn't want to be, you know, to be like that. And I don't want to have that fallen nature towards her either. I just, you know, I lacked certain things in my childhood, etc., etc. So I think it's really important to learn as much as possible. And sometimes it's really helpful if you can do it, if you can ask, like if they come out, if your partner's expressing fear or loneliness or something like that, to really sit down and talk to them and say, when was the first time you experienced fear? Tell me about those fearful moments that you had in your childhood, which now trigger it, which I'm doing something which is like setting it off, you know, exploding it. I'm not the originator of that. It's, you know, maybe you were left alone, you know, at home too long, or weren't given enough, you know, or you had fear that of in your childhood and things like that, of abuse or something like that. And if she can access that original core, then she's more able to manage it, and I'm also able to manage it because I can understand its origin. Yeah. I think it's really important to understand we're historical beings. We've all grown up through wars. Our parents have almost all been through wars or poverty or some kind of crisis, and we are manifesting some of that still in our lives. And the only way you can do that is to listen to it, to see the whole person, and love them for who they are, even with their, you know, to cherish that, the good and the weak, to cherish that, you know, to say. And so now I look at Barbara and I can see her fears and worries and still say, that's part of wonderful Barbara. And it's not
embrace my shadow.
And so because I have to also do the same to myself. I have to also say, you know, instead of hammering my fallen natures and beating them up, to realize, oh, they were given to me by history, a lot of them, and I still love myself for who I am, but I won't let them act any, you know, I will try to act in a different way, realize it's not a healthy way. I think it's really helpful to learn a lot about your partner's history.
Sorry. But yeah, thank you for that. We're almost out of time, and I just want to get to the last question. And if you could give a rapid response, maybe 1 minute per couple, to answer this final question, which is, what is the secret behind happy, long-lasting relationships? So I think Stephen and Barbara, you're already answering that. But yeah, if you'd like 1 more minute to finish that point, and then I'd like to give a minute to Nicole, Michael, and Anto and John K. to.
Okay, I'll take 30 seconds. Barbara can have. Okay, I think I have to look at her as God's daughter and honor that. And see that in her as every day, even if it's just as potential, and try to bring that out. And I believe it's my job to make her feel loved. So I try to do the things that all that we have pictures downstairs of all the true love animals, all the animals that bond for life. And some of them massage each other, some of them give gifts, some of them hold hands, some of them dance together. And I say, this is the way true love, it maintains itself through affection. And so I follow the laws of the true love animals, and I try to do them every day. Okay.
And my secret is not to take away his responsibility, which I have tendency to do, being, from my lineage of women who who had to be very strong to survive, and also to fulfill my responsibility, to know where my responsibility is, and this especially in regards to emotions and knowing the blocks that I have to overcome, or you could say my fallen nature. But basically, not to be a rescuer in this relationship, and be an independent woman. We're laughing about it. Anyway, that's okay.
Okay. Oh, you.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think to me, the secret for long-lasting relationship is making the spouse priority above every other relationship I have, because I was reflecting about it a lot, because, of course, you have your parents, you have your siblings and so on, but you will never live with them. With whom you will actually live is your spouse. And this is the most important relationship. So making your spouse always priority above everyone else, I think is really, really important. And then, of course, being always grateful to this person for whatever this person is doing, even though it's sometimes, of course, difficult. And then one more point is, to me, also being grateful to God for giving me the chance to grow in this relationship, always having this mindset, I'm with him together because I have something he has and he has something I have, so we can grow together.
Need. That's something you need.
Yeah. So we complement and become one.
Yeah. For the husbands, the secret is basically what Uncle Stephen said, but put simply, it's happy wife, happy life. So that's a secret for having a happy spousal relationship. In terms of family, friends, I don't know if I have the secret. I don't have perfect relationships with everybody. I think I don't have a catchy phrase for those, but I think being humble, caring, putting in effort, not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not giving up. If it's a relationship you want to have, then you just have to keep trying. And acceptance. At some point, you just have to accept that people, I mean, not even at some point, you need to accept that people are the way they are and you can't change them. You can only change yourself. So accepting people and their choices and who they are. Yeah.
I think one advice that was given to me and that I've kept in my mind is sometimes it's more important to unite than to be right, which maybe is kind of a similar mentality. It's happy wife, happy life. But yeah, choosing your battles, some of them are worth, kind of just, not getting into it, just all right, it's fine, it's a small thing. But I did read also a study of actually what helps relationships to last long. And often people tend to think it's communication that helps a relationship last. But the study found that, in long relationships, at around 6-7 years, there comes a time where communication breaks down in your couple relationship. And at that point, the saving thing in a relationship is actually respect. So even when communication has broken down, everything else is broken down, there's an inherent respect for your spouse. So you do not, cross certain lines just because you respect your spouse. So I think that's also something very important to keep in mind. Something important to, search for in our spouse. Like, what are the things that I respect in my spouse?
Then I will share about the general relationship. What is my secret of long-lasting relationships? Actually, to be honest, I have one secret which I'm really applying to having relationship with others. First of all, I really try to think about what others need. first, actually, I mean, not just like reducing my true self, but I can be true myself and then try to really honestly sharing, but at the same time, really think about before something coming, what the person needs. And then the second one is sometimes really struggling, then actually I try to become that person, and then understanding the background of that person, that actually, yeah, it's easier to understand the person's well. So that is my secret. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, there was a lot of wisdom shared over the past 40, 50 minutes or so. I think I might have to watch back the recording myself because there was a lot there to digest. So could we please say a big thank you to all of our panelists and show our appreciation with a little round of applause. Yeah, I was excited for this talk, but I wasn't expecting to receive so much. But yeah, I believe that some of our panelists need to go now. And yeah, thank you for sharing with us so sincerely and honestly. And I think we're going to have some great discussions now. But yeah, feel free to leave. We'll say one final thank you. And yeah, have a good evening, panelists. And then the rest of us, we're going to have a chance to discuss what was just shared. So yeah, thank you once again to our panelists. And for the rest of us, we will have breakout rooms. And we're going to have about 20 minutes or so to discuss in groups what we just heard from the panelists. And we've prepared some discussion questions. So they are, the first question is, Barbara mentioned the importance of becoming a mature person in order to maintain good relationships. What do you think about it? What can you do to be a better friend, child, or sibling? Number 2, with whom do you feel you have the closest relationship and why? 3, is there a relationship you want to work on and make better? How can you improve it? And finally, 4, how do you think having healthy or unhealthy relationships affects other parts of your life? Whether that's at school or at work or at home. So yeah, those are our 4 questions. You're going to be assigned to a discussion group, and we'll meet up together in around 20 minutes. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy your discussion groups and see you soon. All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your discussions. My discussion group definitely could have done with more time. I think we had a lot more to share, but what we did share was very interesting. So yeah, we have an opportunity now. If you'd like to share any of your takeaways that you discussed with your group, we have a few minutes to discuss that. So if anyone feels inspired to share their thoughts, now's your opportunity. Just unmute yourself.
Can questions share something? Actually, now you can see my real name, so I guess my name is Yavi.
Yes. Questions you may answer.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Just wanted to share that we had a great discussion, and I came up with the realization that relationships are really important, and if you look around you in nature, then everything is kind of built to work in relationships. If it's electrons or animals or plants, they all have this plus and minus, male and female, and they're all meant to kind of interact with each other. So sometimes it's not easy to have always good interactions, but even bad interactions, you can turn them around and learn from the mistakes and not be afraid to have a bad interaction with someone and then through this to grow. So always kind of try to create this positive give and receive interaction, and through this you can have really healthy and beautiful relationships and make many friends and also meet many very different people, and through them learn something new, because each person is very different. And if you have good interactions or relationships with all of as many people as you can, then you can also grow and become a more rounded person. So yeah, always try to create this positive energy and good interactions with other people.
Yeah, thanks, Yavi. That was a great answer. Thanks for sharing. Maybe one more person could share a takeaway, and then we'll move on to our announcements. So, I think we have our volunteer.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Rasha here. So we made the conclusion that CARP way is a very good way to work on maturity of myself. And because we have a lot of opportunity to meet different people, to speak to them, and to share with them, to understand them, to love them, and so on. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay, I feel generous. So if there's one more person who would like to share, this is your opportunity. I think we've got a hand up there from, is that Bengt? Yeah.
Very shortly. So yeah, so I'm Swedish and I have a Finnish wife. We live in Finland. And it's nice to see you all. And I just want to share that it can be very easy, you know, do something for each other in a marriage. You know, this is very important. So very simple things. Make breakfast, you know, something that you might think that it's just a trivial thing. That's not so special. But if you do it a couple of times without being asked, it will work wonders. That's what I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I think it's important to encourage selfless actions. It doesn't have to be much, like you said, but we can always appreciate the little things that are done for us, and hopefully return the favor and get that cycle going of helping each other and serving each other, which I believe Michael shared about. You know, serving people helps you to get over any conflict that you may have with them, and you can try to focus on their potential, like Stephen was sharing as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing your takeaways. And now we're going to have some announcements. So those are going to come up on the screen any moment now. Yeah, I believe the first announcement is about a 2-day workshop that we're running. And that will be starting on the 13th and finishing on the 14th. So you can see the poster now. And this will be a DP workshop. You can see our speakers will be Sarah Ahmed, Matthew Hewish, and Guksun Capone. So you may or may not know these people, but they're very good speakers. I've heard them all speak before. And so I can highly recommend this 2-day workshop. It will be an opportunity, as it says, to discover the first chapters of the universal principle by studying together the purpose of life, the reason and the solution to world problems, and our responsibility as human beings. So yeah, it's got a grand purpose there and a big message to share. So I hope that as many people will join us as possible. And that will be starting on Friday evening, and we'll have 2 more sessions on the morning of Saturday and in the evening. And Sarah has just shared in the chat the registration link. So if you feel inspired and you'd like to participate in this 2-day DP workshop, please register using the link that's in the chat. And I believe you'll be able to see this poster and find this link if you follow us on Facebook and or Instagram. But if you can't find it on Instagram or Facebook, feel free to reach out to any members of the International CARP team. And I'm sure, yeah, we'll all want to invite you and send you the link. So if you're having any difficulties finding the link for any reason, please just reach out to somebody and we'll send that to you. But yeah, as you can see, this is the poster. The link is there. The link is in the chat. So you can copy that now. And I think we have 2 more announcements. The next announcement is a Mother's Day themed quiz. I think this is from Croatia. I'm not sure. This is being hosted by Croatians. But yeah, it's an opportunity to have fun and get to know each other through a quiz and other games. So if you enjoyed the quiz at the start of today's session, I'm sure this will be right down your street. And it will be Mother's Day themed. So I don't know how much you know about Mother's Day, but it'll be a good opportunity to look at that relationship, the relationship you have with your mother, or the relationship that some of you may have as mothers to your children. So yeah, that will be on Sunday, the 8th of May at 8 o'clock, I believe 8 o'clock Central European time. And yeah, the Zoom link is there at the bottom. So yeah, please sign up for that if you want. And last but not least, our next session will be 2 weeks from now. So the next, so yeah, on the 17th of May. So if you enjoyed today's session, as I'm sure you did, I'd like to invite you to return again 2 weeks from now for our next session. And yeah, it'll be similar to today. We'll have some icebreakers. We'll have a main discussion, a main talk, or and a chance to discuss that with people from all over the world. So if you enjoyed today's session, please join again in 2 weeks if you're available. And yeah, if you want to find out more about us, we're on Facebook and Instagram. You can see our names there, or our tags. So yeah, you can follow us and reach out to us if you want to ask any questions. But yeah, that's it for our announcements. And now we'll have an opportunity to play some games. But before we do that, I'd just like to thank some of our panelists who are still here. So yeah, we can give one more thanks, round of applause to the panelists for their amazing talk. Yeah, there was a lot of wisdom shared about relationships and what we need to do to maintain healthy relationships and what we can try to avoid. So yeah, I think there will be a recording actually. So if like me, you feel that that was a lot to digest in one go, I believe that recording will be available, and you can watch it back, maybe take notes this time, and yeah, try to make the most of today's session. But yeah, I know a lot of you are probably dying to get to the games, which will be hosted by Sarah. So if you want to stick around for the games, please yeah, just wait a few moments. But if you are leaving now, yeah, this is we'll say goodbye to everyone who wants to leave or who doesn't want to play the games. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining this week. Hope to see you again in 2 weeks. And yeah, we'll say bye to everyone who's leaving now. So yeah, thank you for joining. See you next time, hopefully.